All right, so let's get going. So welcome to everybody to our second K12 Tableau user group meeting of the school year. We do have a lot of people here, so be sure to mute your mic and have your video off. I think we may have that locked out this time. Last time we had a little difficulty with that. Um, Today's session is being recorded, as David just said, so you can review any pieces later when someone inevitably walks into your office with today's fire drill of the day, or if you just want to share with some of your coworkers, or you weren't able to make it today. But if you're hearing this now later, if you didn't, if everyone. Please, like David just said, just a reminder: hop on the chat feature, introduce yourselves, let us know where you're from, what charter, community, district, parochial, private, whatever, where you're coming from. We would appreciate it. And you may find someone who's nearby you never even realized used Tableau. I know we've had that before. Um, and if you do have any questions for our presenters, please use the Q&A feature to pose those questions. It'll be easier than the chat. We can kind of keep track of them in one place. And again, to repeat what David said, any general comments, praise, feel free to use the chat for that. So again, welcome, everyone to the October edition. It's our for the National K12 Tableau User Group for the 2024-2025 school year. For this month, we are so excited to have some of our own K12 Iron Viz competitors share their tips and tricks that I'm sure we'll all find useful. So we're very appreciative for them being here. Also on this slide below is the link for our K12 tug. So if you are not currently subscribed to our tug, please go in and do so. So my name is Robert Kramer. I'm one of the three co-leads for the K12 National Tug, where we have now topped 400 registered community members. So that's amazing. I'm a data analyst at Southwestern City School District here in Grove City, Ohio. There are two other co-leaders in this tug. Stephanie Henry from Plant Moran, many years of experience in K12. She's unable to join us for today's tug, but we still want to give a shout out to her in her absence, of course. And also there is the infamous David Ogden. So David, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Gosh, I hope I'm infamous for good things. But yeah,
Absolutely, yes.
I'm David Ogden. I am an assessment facilitator here in the great Renton School District, which is just adjacent on the south side of Seattle.
Awesome. So the Tableau Data Fam, it's an ever-growing global community full of many helpful people, resources. At Tableau Conference, they even have their own meetings where you can kind of get in and really get in deep with that. But they're there to support you and your school or district's journey. And if you'd like to learn more, there is also a link at the bottom of this slide. And whether you know it or not, you are already a part of the K12 Data Fam. There are 4 great resource links on this slide. Are we on to the next slide here? Right? Is that? Yep, there we are. Okay, sorry. There are 4 great resource links on this slide. So please feel free to copy those out. Use them. I'll get those copied into the chat soon, and that way you guys can have those once we get going with David's piece, which I'm going to hand off to him right now.
Okay, thanks very much. Yeah, so here's our agendas. Our agendas today are going to be announcements first, and then we'll get to meet a community member, and then we'll get the great stuff from our K12 Iron Viz folks, Brian and Shelby. But first, let's hear about some new stuff. First, we're going to talk about some new Tableau stuff, then our own tug stuff, and then give you a chance. I sent you out an email. I give you a little bit of time if you want to share what's new with you in the chat. And you can do that while we're going on here, if you like. But here's some new stuff from Tableau. Well, we're going to call it new-ish. One of the great things that Tableau has is Tableau Public. You can share your visualizations and you can become famous, or you can just become just another person who has something out there to share. I'm just another person who has something out there to share. My vises don't have that many views. I like them, but it's a really good place to practice. And now you can actually save things, a local file saving on the public, which is, it used to have to upload stuff and you never knew exactly what it's going to look like, but now it should look like exactly what's on your Tableau desktop. And then, of course, it's always a great place as well to borrow from other people, because it's not stealing because they put it up on public. So borrow some of the templates that they have. If you see really nice viz, you can take their templates and explore that, how they made that, and then upload your own data into those templates. And also, if you want to see it, and if you like those dopamine hits of how many people are looking at your visits, they have some great statistics there to give you more information about Tableau Public. Here you can see how it works there. But it's also new-ish, came out in the beginning of the summer or the end of the summer, something like that. But if you haven't been there yet, it's a great thing for you to try out. And being public, again, there's lots of people on it, so it doesn't always mean you'll get a view, which may be a good thing or a bad thing, but it is kind of fun to see how other people react and how many views you get. It's Tableau's version of social media, so to speak. And also, we have a new challenge for you all. There was first the Data Plus movies earlier this year, and now Data Plus TV. I am the TV generation. I am as old as Sesame Street. And so I have some old shows that I put up on this slide that I liked, but also I like some of these new shows that relate to our K-12 world. And so you can make practice your skills and see other people's skills by going to the tableau.com community.tv and start joining, or you can bring your phone up to the screen and get this fancy QR code going. And again, these slides will be shared later as well, so you can come back and do it. But it's a great challenge. There's some really, really good visits out there already on the Tableau Plus TV. So we hope it inspires you to take your love of certain things on the television and turn them into a great visual. This is all sponsored by IMDb, so the data comes straight from IMDb. The data sets are pretty big, so just beware of that. But I think there's a starter pack as well, so that you can just go through it for all levels. It really is for all levels. You don't have to be an expert to try it out. It's really mostly there to inspire you so that you enjoy working and practicing your skills. So in talking about inspiration, so if you want some inspiration, this is a wonderful opportunity. The IEE Viz 24, these are the for the professional data visualization folks. This is their conference. You can go to, because hey, if you are into Viz as well. But we're also going to have some watch parties. So that's the watch parties are your ability to go in and take a look at these sessions that they're going on. We have these watch parties were organized by the TUG leader, one of the TUG leaders from the higher education Tableau user group, Roshni, and she's going to say a little more about that right here, I think. Roshni, do you want to take the mic for a second? Oh, maybe not. Oh, you don't see an unmute option. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, let me make you even more powerful and make sure you've got all the options there.
Yeah, I don't see her listed as a presenter anymore, David.
Oh, interesting. All right, so something happened to turn her off. Just gotta find you here. There you are.
Thank you.
Yes.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So yeah, IEEE Viz is one of many conferences more on the academic and research side of visualization. So there's researchers in academia, university professors and PIs and graduate students, as well as some from industry. So there's going to be a handful of Tableau folks from the Tableau research team, including Vidya Settler, who you've probably seen her name in a few places. She worked with Bridget Cogley on a book about visualization, along with some of the other researchers on that team. They're going to be presenting papers that are going to be published in, the IEEE Viz various IEEE publications, actually. So we're going to hold some watch parties. So we're basically going to be live streaming some of the sessions and then discussing afterwards how does what we learned in those sessions or what was presented in the research, how does that impact our practice as data visualization practitioners? Does how we group bar charts, for example, like how do we have to think about that more intentionally when we're deciding how to put something in a Tableau Viz or anywhere else, right? So at the moment, if you go to the higher education Tableau user group page, you can sign up for all the sessions that we plan to live stream. I am going to caveat that some of those sessions we might have to move them around because I'm going to end up in a hospital hanging out with some family members who are undergoing surgery. So I have no idea what the actual live stream is going to be like, what the quality is going to be like. So I'm working with the IEEE Viz hosts to see if we can sort of hold some of these as post-conference encore presentations. But yeah, the conference is completely online now. If you want to register on your own and actually watch live and also have access to papers, you can register. It's $20 registration, which is not that much for a conference. It's not free like some of the Salesforce plus presentations, but it is $20, and you do get access to all of the research papers as well as the ability to ask questions personally during the presentations and all sorts of other things. I can't remember what they are, but it really is a great way to learn about the research that is impacting the tools that we use, whether it's Tableau or something else, and just make better decisions as you are creating your own dashboards and other data presentations, even tables. I think there's a couple of sessions that are just about how to make tables not be as awful as some of us are forced to make them. So we hope you'll attend. If not on your own, then through the watch parties. And yeah, so thank you. And thank you, David and Rob, for giving me this opportunity to talk about this.
Yeah, no, this is a wonderful opportunity in terms of professional development. Don't get clock hours for it, but your or professional credits, but you definitely have the opportunity to learn a lot more about the basics in visualization. So for our own group, we have coming up in November, we've got some more wonderful K12 community members sharing their visualizations all the way from Hawaii and also from Illinois. That time is going to be a little different to adjust for our folks over in Hawaii and give them a little more time to wake up and stretch. So be on the lookout for the announcement coming out very soon, right after this meeting ends. And then we're going to have some things in January and in April. Those are the schedule. We don't know what's up yet, but you can be a part of it as either would join us to be a presenter or you can be in the community spotlight. And then if we get more, we'll have more added. We also partner with our K12 Tableau sales team. They do the Tableau Tuesdays. We try to pump up the volume there for them and have those also coming up, but I haven't heard yet what their next Tableau Tuesday event is going to be. So now's the time for you to share your announcements. Have you gotten a promotion recently? Is this a new job for you? Have you a Tableau public site that you want to spread out there? Put it in the chat. Tell us what's going on. Anybody's birthday? Recent children, grandchildren, brothers or sisters? Oh, I can hear the typing. I just have to get it going here. And then I'll shout it out because your comments don't show up online. I have to shout it out for you. Well, none right now. That's okay, but I'll be the Bob Barker and say, remember to spay and neuter your pets. Those are some announcements. Excited for a new season, says Dr. Tracy Rogers. A new season. I don't know what the new season is. maybe the new season of Slow Horses. That's a very good, if you haven't watched Slow Horses, that's a very good TV show. It's not about K12, but it's one that I really like. I have to have Apple Plus, but it's really well done. And again, we want to give a shout out to our community members that were recently affected in the Southeast by weather events, are being affected soon by those weather events. Our hearts are, thoughts are with you, and we hope you have minimal interruption to your work, your lives, and to your schooling. Jason Markey says they're going to be posting a position for Director of Data Analytics in their district, which looks like it's Hinsdale 86. So I will share, if you know someone who's interested in you in the Chicago area, check out the Hinsdale district in the Chicago area. Cody has launched a Tableau-based reporting for their users, their district teacher and school leadership. That's terrific. Well done, Cody. And Cody, let us know what district that is, so we maybe can see some of your work as well. We're glad to see that. So thank you for sharing, you all. And see if someone else has got another typing in there. Robert, anything new with you on your end?
Not in the world of Tableau recently, unfortunately.
Not the world of Tableau. Okay.
But as like everyone else, we wear lots of hats, right? You don't.
Yeah.
I would love to work on it more, but recently haven't had a lot of those.
Well, Luca's saying they're piloting a data analytics with Tableau program this fall with 6th to 8th graders, the middle school students, in a charter school in North Memphis. Oh, terrific. So the teacher training starts. So he's actually helping students learn Tableau, and middle school students helping with the data science in there. That's terrific. He says, fingers crossed, students and teachers will have fun and a great experience throughout the year. Keith is saying they also have an opening for information management supervisor in Hinsdale, or if this is the same Hinsdale one, or maybe it's more than one. Nice. So you've got director of data and information management out there in Chicago area land. And Cody's with EdTech. Thank you, Cody. And he's Deravita, EdTech Deravita. So go ahead and drop in your email or web address too, Cody, so people can find you. And then Andrew's got a new data analytics partner in Waukee, Iowa. So welcome, Neil, and the wonderful world of Tableau. Okay, terrific. Welcome, Neil. Glad to have you.
And David, I think that's a good reminder by Luca too, that there's a lot of programs that Tableau sponsors to be able to get free licenses for students and for teachers to be able to instruct kids on the use of Tableau and data analytics. So it's something that hopefully you can have some success in your districts and working with your curriculum departments and implementing a program for that.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Oh,
and
good. Yeah, Luca said exactly. That's what they're doing. So there was
yeah,
just a great reminder yesterday on a Tableau call. So
oh, terrific. Yeah, yeah. And then Roshni put in the link there for tableau.com/academic/teaching. So a lot of higher ed groups are teaching Tableau, but it is getting better and better and easy to use. And again, as Robert said, some very free resources, including desktop applications themselves. And they have curriculums for all ages. Thank you, Roshni. All ages. I'm not sure they reached down to pre-K, but anyways, so if you're learning Scratch at your school, they can probably also learn Tableau. Well, we will move on. And speaking of our community, we will now have a chance to meet a community member. We want to welcome Raquel Macedo Vondenes from the Virginia Department of Education, and she's going to tell me how and when to advance the slides. Welcome, Raquel. We're so glad to have you here. Tell us more about yourself and your role with Tableau.
Well, thanks for having me. Can you guys hear me well? Okay, good. Sounds like my internet decided to help a little bit. So my name is Raquel Vandenes. I'm originally from Brazil. I've been in the US for about 15 years now. And for about 15 of those years, 12 of those years, I've been working in education. I started as a language and media support specialist at the Virginia Commonwealth University here in Richmond. And originally the idea was to teach foreign languages in college. Tried for a couple semesters, but it was just not my thing. And then meanwhile, I saw a position, they needed someone to teach elementary school foreign language. I was like, well, why not? Let's give it a try. Fell in love with teaching. And then from there, I became an ESL teacher, worked with high school, middle school, elementary. Elementary is my happy place. And now I'm currently a data visualization specialist at the DOE. Tomorrow is actually my 2-year anniversary with them. And yes, so I will talk a little bit about how I went from teaching to doing data visualization. So if we can go to the next slide. So this is how it started. When I became an ESL teacher, I don't know how many people here are familiar with it. We usually have a big assessment a year, which is usually in January. And by the time you get the results is the beginning of the next school year. So let's say September. In ESL world, that's a whole lot of time that has gone. And oftentimes I would get a student and what I was seeing in paper was not matching what I was seeing in person. So I need something else. I need more information. So I started getting all the information I could get on the students, all the data I could possibly get my hand on, and put it into spreadsheets. This is what you're seeing is just 1 year, 1 class. At a certain point, we had about 600 students at my school. So you can imagine the craziness. So working with teachers, sometimes I would present this, she'd be like, okay, let's talk about this student. And they would just look at me. It's like, what am I supposed to be looking at? So my co-teacher and I started developing dashboards so we could show to parents and show to teachers so we could keep track of the students' progress. And unfortunately, I don't have any screenshots of those. It's been a little while, but you can imagine. It was a lot of work. So my coworker came with this crazy idea about doing a data bootcamp. She was like, I heard about this thing called Python, and I think it can really help us. We can do some SQL, and our life is going to be solved. So during this data analysis bootcamp, I met Tableau and fell in love with Tableau. I was like, I cannot believe that I can just literally put all that information in there and I can do all those amazing things. So I started working with Tableau to develop those dashboards and things that I could show parents and be like, here, this is where we are. That's where we would like to be. And that's where we are towards getting to that goal. And in that meantime, I saw a position at the DOE for a data visualization specialist. And that's where I am now. So if we want to go to the next slide. So I work for a program called LASER, which is Learning Analytics to Support Education and Reporting, which is a big name. So pretty much what we're doing is developing dashboards to help school districts, to start a data community here in Virginia, and so they can take actionable steps to help improve student outcomes. We have 3 modules in LASER. We have an early warning system, a student group comparison, and accreditation. And I'm not going to delve into it because there's so much into it. So we now start deploying across the state. It's been about 3 or 4 years in the mix. So I came in kind of like halfway through it. We have about 20 divisions live for the first 2 modules, and accreditation is live for the whole entire district. So my side is to work on the dashboards. Now, those dashboards, I'm the 4th person to be working with them. So there is a lot in there. There is no documentation. So I imagine some people that work with are familiar with that scenario. The early warning system, for example, there is about 108 worksheets in there. And just for those 3.5 years that I've been working with Tableau, Tableau has come out with so many amazing features, and they had to do it the hard way back then. So part of what I'm focusing on right now is to simplify the dashboards, make the back end a little bit better. And because on top of everything, we have 8 row level security. So you can have everything from district level access all the way to related students and everything in between. And because of security requirements, we cannot have set group users. So we have to create a whole system where users come in It creates their account, it shows them what they need to see, and then deletes them immediately. So it's been a journey to make those dashboards happen, and to now being working on the back end to try to improve the dashboards and make them more focused to what our end users need. So I think you also asked me to talk a little bit about like what I do on this Tableau journey and how do I get to be where I am. So I'm really obsessed with workout Wednesdays. Every Wednesday I look forward to it and I work on it. And then I also look for as many other people solving as I can possibly find, because I think it's there, you can learn so much, because sometimes I'll do things a certain way and then I'll see someone else that does it in a much simpler way. So I think that's probably how I learn the bulk of what I know about Tableau, is just by watching what other people do. There's Tableau team, like to watch him a lot. Follow a lot of people on LinkedIn that work with Tableau, and just, like just getting insights about how they're using Tableau. Tableau Public, I like to, scroll mindlessly. That's replacing social media for me. So I like to just go through those vizes, and every once in a while I'll come across one. I'm like, I need to learn how they did this. So I'll download the workbook and I'll break it apart and try to figure out how they did certain things within their dashboards and be like, okay, how can I add that to my dashboards? And as we mentioned, we talked about this before, like life has ups and downs. When I first started, I was like spending like 5 to 10 hours a day, like just going through Tableau, like trying to learn as much as possible. Then, got a baby, life got busy. Now he's 1 year old. So I feel like I'm getting back into the swing of things, which means that I have all those tabs like of things that I've been marking throughout the year. It's like, I need to do this. I need to learn that. So yeah, so that's been my journey with Tableau, like some. And yeah, so those are the screenshots of some of the modules of Laser.
So terrific. Yeah, these are really great. I really appreciate. Oh, there's it. That was the last one. So shout out to you. Yeah. So as you were saying, so what I was going to say was that it's like iron sharpens iron here. Doing your workout Wednesdays, having looking at other people's stuff. That's really a great way to do it. Tell me what you might tell yourself if you could go back to when you started with Tableau. What might you tell yourself now?
Ooh. Maybe just tackle one thing at a time. I find myself, with like sometimes 20 things going on at a time. But, like focus on one thing at a time, one dashboard at a time. I think that really helps, like just, and I think also always going back and revisiting things that I've done. Sometimes when I look at some of my early dashboards, I'm like, oh, there's so many different ways that I can do this, and it really helps with performance. And that's been my biggest challenge with my current job, is just how to tackle performance, because when we're talking about 128 worksheets in a dashboard with all 8 levels of row level security going all the way from district to student view, performance becomes very, very, very important. So
Yeah, and I mentioned in the chat that our state also uses Tableau and has some really great designs there. So if you need me to share some of the designs with you, let me know what you're doing. Yours look terrific, like all the different uses you have there. Do you have a favorite Tableau feature?
Well, so a lot of the dashboards that I've been working on, they're internal use only, but I gotta say, I do love the maps. When you're working with so many school districts, it really helps, like a quick visualization. And I feel like it really helps, like very quickly you can have an idea of like the problem is regional, or, if how you can tackle those things based in regions and school districts. So I am a fan of the maps.
Yeah, and you said you wanted to share help schools in Virginia. We have some Virginia participants today, so I hope they're able to connect with you as well. So you've got help out there, Virginia schools with at your DOE right there, your Department of Education, and really great Tableau person. It does not surprise me that you started to like Tableau. Because you sound like a person to me. I've never met you before. It's really great to meet you today. That likes puzzles, not necessarily the jigsaw puzzles, but likes to figure things out. When I saw that spreadsheet of all those pieces of information about a student, made me think that you knew a lot about your students. So then going from that to wanting to know more and wanting to see more about your students is really great. It was a terrific journey. So I just have one surprise question for you. Are you ready for a surprise question? So
I hope so.
what is the maximum number of tabs you've had open on your web? Are you somebody that has like 50 different tabs open all the time? Or are you just more like 2 or 3 tabs at a time?
Yes, I'm a bookmark person, so I try to fool myself by I don't have that many tabs, but my bookmark tabs like.
Okay, yeah, so I'm a bookmark person too. My wife loves lots and lots of tabs, but I'm like, no, I don't like that many tabs. So terrific. Well, great to meet you. It's so glad that you shared your journey with us. Very inspiring and a wonderful opportunity for folks who are also coming up in the world to connect with you and to help out with others. So thanks for your participation. Now we're going to move on to one of our K12 Iron Vizers. This is Shelby Hust from the great Douglas County out there in Colorado, west for some of you, east for me. And she's going to share her sustainability dashboard. You can see more about her on her public site. She also has a public site, and she has a Tableau public site. But this is the Iron Viz that she shared when we did an Iron Viz around data in the United States. So I will stop sharing, and Shelby, take it away.
Thank you. So I'm Shelby Hest. I'm a data visualization engineer at the Douglas County School District. If you saw, or if you click the link in the chat for my Iron Viz, you'll see that it was very map focused. I also like working with maps. I think Raquel said she likes that too. And the sustainability dashboard that I'm going to share today also has some maps in it. So let me share my screen. All right. Okay, so the sustainability department came to me a few months back. They had so much data just locked in spreadsheets, and they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know what they could do with it. A lot of their focus is to, promote environmental awareness and to also promote operational efficiencies in our district. And they do that through their sustainability initiatives and also through grants that they apply for and then award to the schools throughout our district. So I kind of put this together in 3 different sections: grants, initiatives, and then our operations, so that they could really see the impact that they're making across our school district, and then also see maybe what more they need to do. And so they found it very helpful. This page is just on our grants, which schools are receiving sustainability grants, what kinds of grants are awarded. These charts over here are actually divided up. Hang on, let me reconnect. They're divided up into their initiative types. So they have chickens, climate and ecosystems, energy conservation, all kinds of good stuff that they do across the district. And so the grants are kind of sorted into each of those categories. The tree here, I was trying to find a different way to represent which schools are getting grants, what's the average student impact, how much grant money is received by each school. And so when you hover over a school, when you hover over a dot, that's actually each dot is a school, and you can get some more information on what's going on at that school. So Cimarron received an e-gauge installation. That's for tracking electricity usage. And then they also, I think, pour away liquid containment systems. I think that might have to do with either water conservation or recycling. I'm not sure. But you can see their total grants dollar amount that they received in the 2023-24 school year. That total grant dollar to student count ratio, and then also the average percentage of students impacted by receiving those grants. So each dot you can hover over, it represents a school. And sometimes the grants in the sheet that I received, sometimes they didn't have an exact student impact number. So sometimes that number is null here. So the percentage of students impacted is null. But if you don't want to hover over every little dot to figure out which one is which school, there is also a map feature on here. I liked making the tree. It was fun to incorporate in here. So for those that are familiar with our school district, it might be easier to find a school by using the map instead of the tree. But I think I'm supposed to be sharing tips and tricks. So the tree, the way I did this, all of the dots are actually, that's just a single worksheet, and each dot is a school, and it is assigned a random number. That's the x-axis. And then the y-axis is a random number, just +5, so that there are no dots in the trunk of the tree. And then in the tooltip, that black line that kind of separates from some of those stats and then the grant items list. That black line is actually just a dummy worksheet, basically. So that is a worksheet inserted into this tooltip. And it is literally just a solid black line. So that's all that does. So these are, this is the grants page. I'm going to go to operations, and then I'll go to initiatives. So the operations page, this is looking at our electricity usage, and then we can also look at waste. But the dots on here, again, each dot is a school, and we have their electricity usage colored by a kilowatt hour per square foot. So the size of the building and how much electricity they're using depending on the size of their building. And so we can hover over and see exactly what's going on for the entire school year. And then also that average kilowatt hour per square foot. And then over here, I've got electricity usage over time. Clearly in September, it's pretty hot because our electricity usage spikes. So I think we're trying to cool the buildings off a little bit. But this district average is a fixed level of detail calculation. And then each of these additional lines, I can select other buildings to add on here. But each of these additional lines, they don't impact that district average. It stays the same because that's a fixed calculation. I always just leave West Support Center on here as the building. By default, that's where I work. So that's the West Support Center versus district average, and we can add other buildings on there to see. Let's see. And then I also have our waste. So the diversion rate is really what they wanted to focus on. And the diversion rate is just the percentage of waste that is recycled or composted out of all of the waste created at each location. And so this is actually measured in pounds of waste. All of the data I received is literally just the weight of all of the waste that was picked up, whether it was recycled, composted, or taken to another facility. So that's what this is showing. Each of these dots, again, is a school, and that's colored by their diversion rate. And then it's actually sized by the amount of waste produced per student in the building. That made a little bit more sense than using the square footage of the building, since the building itself is not producing the waste, it's the people there. So I think I might need to go in and add in not just the student count, but the employees as well, since everybody is contributing to waste. But that's what the map is showing. And then again, same thing over here, just that usage over time. I'm sorry, this is the diversion rate over time. And so the district average is, again, this dashed line. I think that it spikes up in the summertime because we're not producing as much food waste. So there's maybe just more paper and materials that can be recycled and composted when there's no students in the building. And then West Support Center, again, this is our diversion rate for the 22-23 school year. And we can add in the trend lines as well to see, are we increasing over the year, decreasing? And same thing with the electricity, we can also add in another building to compare. So that's our operations page. And then the last page on here is their initiatives. So they have all these initiatives that schools can implement, and basically a survey goes out each year and schools complete it to say what initiatives they have in place and what initiatives they would want to implement. So right now we have 60 schools that have active sustainability initiatives and about 30 that want to implement some. Of those schools, there are 237 active initiatives, and they're spread out across energy conservation, greenhouses, health and wellness. We've got composting, outdoor gardens, recycling, all kinds of stuff in here. And then the same thing for the desired initiatives. It's kind of spread out. They wanted to highlight which schools are doing really well and, really getting after it with those sustainability initiatives. So the schools that have 5 or more are called EcoStar schools. And so those are these schools right here. So we've got a good bit that are considered EcoStar schools. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I like working with maps. So this map over here is you can select a specific initiative and you can see which schools on the map have that initiative and which schools want to implement it. So for the chicken coops, the chicken means they already have a chicken coop, and then the egg means that they would like to have a chicken coop at their school. So the map feature is really nice for if a school-based administrator, somebody that is, in charge of sustainability or just interested, if they wanted to come see, I know I filled out the form, we want a chicken coop, who nearby might have one, so that we can maybe go visit or just talk to someone there just to see how can we get started. This is a good tool for them. And then the actual sustainability department, if they just want a quick view of who's interested in this initiative and who has it, then they know kind of where to focus their efforts, and they can switch to this list view. And so again, we have a few different initiatives for this. The greenhouses, indoor gardens, recycling, composting. It's kind of the same each time. And then the last one is the outdoor classroom and learning area. So this one, again, it's a little backpack. If the school has it, then they have a backpack. And if they want a outdoor classroom or learning area, then they're a little plus sign. In addition to this, a school might not be able to implement or build some kind of outdoor classroom or learning area right away, but they could see maybe what's near them. So I made another page that looks at different parks that are actually near these schools. So let's see, if I just wanted to look at which schools want an outdoor classroom, then I can filter down. And so these are the schools, the little schoolhouses. These are the ones that they want an outdoor classroom. They don't have one. So then they can see kind of what's nearby. So these are all parks, a few different park types. We've got campgrounds, historic sites, picnic areas, just a few different park types that they can see to see just what's near them and what can they easily access if they can't build an outdoor classroom or learning area. And this map I actually got from the state. I don't remember exactly where I found it, but it is from the state, and it's just all of the parks for our county, I believe. So there were a ton of park types on here, and we filtered it down because otherwise it would just be full of these little trees representing different parks. So and then it's just layered with the school maps that I have. So that's sustainability. That is what I built for our sustainability department. And I apologize, I have this full screen, so I have not seen the chat if people have asked questions.
No questions yet. I put in a reminder. Yeah, so people could put it in the QA, or if you can't find the QA in the chat. But wow, kudos! That's really wonderful. You do. People are loving your use of shapes. I really like the tree there. I thought of it as the money tree. Maybe, or the roots of one's growth can be grants. And people loved your chicken and egg areas. I'm looking forward to what you come up with, whether it's like in the gardens, was it a dead flower that they want to garden instead of a plus sign? If you, I was just thinking some other shapes I was just thinking of. And I really, really liked you have a wide variety of skills and features in here that helps out, like going from the map to the list, having that 3-level donut chart there, where one level looks like is just the desired initiatives, that center part. Another level is the colors on the outside, and the third level is exactly that kind of open pie chart area as you hover over. Those are really wonderful. Where did you learn about this particular feature? I know where I can find information, but where did you find information about how to do a pie chart or a donut chart like that?
Where did I learn? I think I just kind of looked it up because I think I was curious about how to do it. And then I saw it again at the Tableau conference. They had a session on just like quick visualizations that were really cool. And they had like a donut chart, they had a lollipop chart, and things like that. So it was just kind of reinforced there. But I think initially I just kind of Googled it.
Yeah, well, when Brian is up, if you can Google some of your favorites for folks here in the chat, that'd be terrific. The other one is if you go to your, I really liked how you went there to see outdoor classrooms apart. You do like maps and you use them very well. I got a very clear view from this map about how close you are to the mountains. That you use the height of the peaks over there is really, really fun. For me, who likes the outdoors.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that is a specific map background that you can use. And I think that you can highlight sort of parks. So like the state park right here, that's actually not from the same maps that I used. It was just the built-in background in Tableau.
Okay. Nice. Well, we'll see. We'll wait a few minutes here or a minute or two to see if people got the questions that they want. But again, you got lots of good positive comments in here. And the ones, tell me more about the filters on this page that you've got here. What are the filters?
So
or is that the filters just announcing that down below? I didn't know if that was interactive, the word filter there.
Oh yeah, this is and I have another dashboard where I've actually turned this into a button, and so you just click on it and that opens the filters, but this is more of just like a title down here. But for the filters on here, you can, if you wanted to, you could look at all of the schools. It just starts to get kind of busy.
Yeah.
But you can look at all of them, and then you can also just pick just a single school. So let's just look at one. Then we can kind of, let's see. We can kind of pick on one school and see the parks that are near them.
Or nearby.
So.
And a quick reminder, you are in Douglas County. It looks like Centennial is a large town near there. And how many students?
How many students? We have I'd say over 60,000.
60,000 students. How many high schools?
How many high schools do we have?
More than 10 or less than 10.
I want to say maybe less than 10. I don't know off the top of my head.
That's all right. You don't have to. But 9, says Eric. Okay. Eric Brash is there to help you out. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a quick note too on the Q&A. We apparently we did not have the Q&A on, so if you were attempting to do that, you probably didn't have much success. I just noticed that, so it's now on, so you can ask your questions in there.
Thank you. Yeah, or the chat works too if we didn't have it on.
Yep.
Well, keep them coming, and we can address them. Here we go. So Emmanuel has a question for you. Would you plan to use the buffer calculations to show how many parks are in the radius of X miles or kilometers? So how many parks are in a certain radius? You say there's a buffer calculation in Tableau that you could say how many parks are close to a particular school.
That might be really great to use, especially if we're focusing
Emmanuel,
on just like one's time. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Good idea.
And we do have a question in the Q&A here from Andrew Bennett. Can you talk about how you change which worksheets show up on particular dashboard? For example, showing the energy use versus the waste percentage.
Mhm. Yeah, so that actually just uses dynamic zone visibility. So everything inside of, I'd say from this top worksheet all the way down is in a single container. And then this is a parameter over here. So it's waste or electricity. And so it just toggles when it's waste, then there's a parameters that are, I'm sorry, a calculated field that would set to true to be able to show this container. And then if I select electricity, then it would change to false, and then this one would change to true. So it's dynamic zone visibility, and it's just in the layout in your dashboard where you can, I think it's just on the left, and it's like when you select a container or worksheet, you can control visibility, and then you can select a value for it to look at in order to control it.
And I dropped the Tableau help link in there. Yes, Tableau, dynamic zone visibility, great feature from Tableau. Okay, so thanks very much. Round of applause for Shelby. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And let me share my screen again, and they will start up with our next participant, our next presenter, rather. Our next presenter, there again, is Shelby. And coming up now, we have from the great Fresno County Office of Education, where I've been before in my career. One of my favorite Mexican restaurants is in Fresno. It's a very small one. I wish I could remember its name, but it's just kind of like a takeout place. It's really, really good. Again, now I said that. I
Don Pepe's.
Yes, Don Pepe's. Yes, Brian is a resident there. This is Brian. He is the data analytics specialist of Fresno County Education. He also was our Iron Viz participant. And if he wasn't a champion, it was close. I remember it's like 1 point away. I don't remember who actually won, but we are very glad to have him share with us today. And he's going to be talking about his use of colors and shapes. Don Pepe's, yes.
All right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Oops. Oh, what's going on?
It's all right. It's the magic of live.
Yeah, okay. I'm clicking share, but all right. Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I know you have it on your Tableau public page too.
Would you mind actually, David, if you controlled it? So
Sure.
okay, okay.
Let me get to your Tableau public page. I think I have it here. There we go. And we're on.
All right. While this is loading, let me introduce myself. My name is Brian Cortez. I'm a data and analytics specialist here at Fresno County Office of Education. I've been here for 3 years, and what I do most of the time is create public-facing dashboards. And today I'm going to share with you some of my tips and tricks for using shapes and colors in Tableau. So if you could full screen this, David, because I'm kind of having a hard time reading it.
Sorry.
I have old eyes.
No worries. And let me bump up the zoom here. I have the old eye issue as well.
All right, great, awesome. All right, so there are two kinds of shapes that you can use in Tableau, and the first one is the bitmap type, you know, your JPEGs and your PNGs, and I think Shelby did a great job of using them. What these are pretty much any type of, you know, any JPEG or PNG that you can drop in that directory that's showing on the screen. And And just like that, you can use it in Tableau. And if you go ahead and click on how to use custom shapes, David, thank you. So here are two examples of how I use these bitmap shapes. So on the left is to use them as shape marks, which is just, you know, turning on your shape marks card and selecting the shape that you downloaded. So on the left there, can you guys guess what student outcome I'm trying to represent just by the shape? I'm not seeing the chat, but
Graduation.
That's all right. We've got
yeah, there you go. There you
three,
go. All
4,
right.
5, 6, 6 guesses of graduation.
All right. All right. See, that's the magic of shapes. The other way I use these bitmap custom shapes is for infographics. So on the right, I have an example of just a standalone static infographics that I did for our health services department. Those icons are courtesy of the Noun Project. It's a website that hosts a lot of great icons. Just remember to not do what I do, which is not credit them during this presentation. Yes, those are that's one resource where you can find these icons and use them in Tableau. And if you can click the back button and go lower, I think there's a back button at the bottom.
Oh, let's see. I have to zoom out now.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
There you go. Okay, the other shape that you can use in Tableau that, you know, not many people are probably familiar with is the ASCII shapes. So ASCII is, you know, it stands for American Standard Code for Information Interchange. So I'm not a computer scientist, but basically, you know, all the buttons on your keyboard are ASCII characters. But obviously, there's a lot of characters, and they can't fit it all on your keyboard. So it's nice to know some alt codes so that you can take advantage of these shapes. And in front of the screen, I have a handful of examples. So they're called alt codes because, you know, you generate them by holding the alt key and typing a series of numbers. So for example, if you type alt 30, you can get a triangle or an up arrow depending on your point of view. There's also alt 31 for an upside down triangle, alt 254 for a square, and alt 241 for a plus minus sign, which I think is great if you're trying to represent margin of error. And if you guys want to try it on the chat, you can type alt 2 or alt 3. There you go. All right. So David, if you could click on how to use ASCII shapes for me, please.
I'm still trying to get the alt to work for mine, but
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind.
I'm falling behind. I'm sorry, I'm falling behind.
So perhaps my favorite way of using these ASCII shapes is to use them as key progress indicators. So at the top there, you see a table with these up and down arrows to indicate increases or decreases. So this is one way of using KPI. This is one way of using ASCII arrows. For ASCII squares, I like to use them for legends, for customizing legends. So sometimes you'll run into a problem where Tableau cuts off a long label. And, you know, I can adjust that, but the spacing is going to be all weird, and it might, you know, it might show way too much space for one group, and hide the other. So the way I fix that is I just go ahead and, because ASCII shapes behave like text pretty much. So I pretty much just type up all my categories with the ASCII shapes along with the label. And finally, I like to use ASCII characters for navigation buttons. So the triple dash or triple line there, or sometimes called hamburger, is most commonly used for main menus. And then you also have your back and forward buttons. And are there any questions so far?
Yes, we do have one. Someone asked if you could say again where you got the infographic icons from.
Nounproject.com. I'm going to go ahead and type it in the chat.
I dropped it in once in the chat. Go ahead and type it again.
Oh, you already have it. Okay, no worries.
That's
All
right.
right,
You can do it
great.
again.
Thank you,
So,
David. No, it's all right.
there's another one that I like too. I'm trying to remember. I got to go into my bookmarks here, but keep going.
All right. I think I'm ready to go to the next slide, David. If you can zoom out and click on, I think the next one is colors.
Okay.
Okay, for the way I use color in Tableau, I follow what's called the 6-30-10 rule, and that's something I learned when I was a web designer. So basically, you try to stick with 3 colors, and you designate one of them as your dominant color that you use for 60% of the time. You designate a secondary color that you use 30% of the time, and then finally a third color that you use sparingly for usually for like calls to action, like your submit button or your sign up button, anything that you want the user to get to catch their attention and kind of compel them to do something. So, no one is going to take a ruler and make measurements on your dashboard if you apply this principle. No one's going to say that, oh, wait a minute, it's not quite 30%, Brian. So it's really more like about discretion. And it's really more of a rule of thumb. So for example, your dominant color, that's what you default to for a background. And your secondary color, that might be your text boxes or your text color. Then if you have a link, like for example, all the links that I've been asking David to click on for this little presentation, you notice they're all yellow, right? So, and also variations are okay when you're using this principle. Just remember to keep it, to stick with the same color family and use under 5 colors. And if you could click on examples, David. So here are screenshots of 2 dashboards that I built, and at the bottom you have a strip of like the colors that I'm using for them. On the left is our accountability dashboard. So if anyone's from California, it's our LCAP dashboard. And during LCAP writing season, this is where we direct our districts to get their metrics that will guide them to the accountability writing process. And on the right is this is actually a mock-up that we're trying to sell to one of our districts to get all their data in one place. And using their school colors except for the green, but you can see on the strip there the 60-30-10 rule that I'm following. And I think that's it.
That's a lot. Wow. I really like, so this is one I'm going to spend a little more time on with some questions for you as others come up with their questions, comments and questions. So I really like that you showed this one, that because some people are like, how do I do complicated things? But I really like the left side there where it's not complicated, but you have 4 different pieces there, and you're really showing the rule that I didn't know was a rule because I don't have a background as a web designer with that palette bar down there. So really good. I never thought of it before, but it appeals to me just naturally somehow, and that's probably how they learned about it. Like there's this appealing about 60, 30, 10. Can you tell us about your use of the blue in the schools graph here?
Oh, okay. So that's actually a Tableau highlight color. So that I can't control.
Oh, okay.
Tableau,
So that wasn't
Tableau, add that to the
on
wish
purpose
list.
highlighted.
So what's
Very good.
happening there, though, if you want me to explain a little bit, what's happening there is when you select a school on that panel, it will turn on a dual axis line chart on the right side.
Okay.
So the gray line is showing the district overall trend, and the blue line is showing the school. So it's comparing the two, and you can compare different schools just by clicking on them.
Got it. And Dr. Tracy Rogers asks, thanks for sharing. Is your accountability dashboard public facing? So can we go to the Fresno County Accountability Dashboard and see it?
Yes, you can. You can see the 1.0 version. I'm currently working on the 2.0 version.
Terrific.
I'm going to paste it on the chat right
perfect.
now.
That's terrific. And as you're doing that, we have a bunch of people from California in here, and you were saying we were trying to sell the Pine Ridge. Is that meaning that as the County of Education office, you're trying to provide additional support, or is this a service that other districts in California could purchase from the Fresno County Office of Education?
I apologize for that very, crass and crude, word of selling.
That was the verb. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But, we offer contracted services to our districts. In California, county offices are not governing bodies. We can't really dictate to districts what to do. But we have a lot of capacity, and that's what we offer to the districts.
Yeah, terrific. That's why I figured. As I said, I used to be in California, know all the county offices there. Great people. If you haven't interacted with your county office of education, really helpful in many ways. Let's see if there's some other questions or chats going on here.
We do have another one. I don't know if he answered it already, but they said, thank you for sharing. Is your accountability dashboard public facing?
Oh yeah, we just covered that one.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, I was trying to read at the same time.
No worries that he dropped it in the chat. And Robert, like me, is potentially a college football watcher. We liked how, Brad, you liked the black and gold or black and yellow. It's kind of Vanderbilt. That was on my mind. They beat Alabama. If you're a college football watcher, there you go. Let's see other questions as we go along. Oh, here we go. Genevieve has, what types of data do you visualize around homelessness and foster care at the county office?
As far as the work that I've been involved with those two student groups, we try to look at their outcomes. We try to compare their outcomes to, apart from all students, we try to compare, for example, foster youth that didn't move as much compared to the foster youths that move a lot. So we like to look at those outcomes to see if placement is key to their success.
Yeah, terrific. How about for you, Shelby? Do you do much work with foster, homeless care, McKinney-Vento in your work in Douglas?
Not a lot. I have an enrollment dashboard that just shows all the different kind of demographic groups, and one of them is looking at economically disadvantaged students, and then a subset of that would be looking at just our count of homeless students. But that's all I've really done with it.
Here in the Renton School District, we also track, we often think about it as the McKinney-Vento bill that provides support our students. And we also have a really great service nearby that we work specifically with as a non-governmental organization that has access to our Tableau dashboards. That's the Treehouse, and they work specifically with foster families. So certainly we are tracking that, but it'd be good, interesting, particularly with maps about where the students are living at different times when they're attending a particular school. Robert, any stuff that you do with this group of students? Thanks, Genevieve, for a great question.
Yeah. Actually, just this past year, we had been asked to put together a homeless dashboard, and just the nature of the transiency of those students, it doesn't always lend itself so well to like a traditional, enrollment dashboard that you may have like, here's the numbers, because there's a lot of movement. That's just how that population, works out. And so we had to come up with like 4 different ways to measure them. You know, you see have a homeless student count generally. You know, how many? This is a year over year dashboard. They want to know year over year how many homeless students have we had, and you might say, well, how many have we had in a given year? How many were homeless? But how many days of homelessness did they experience? Right? Did you have 10 students who were homeless for a week apiece, or did you have 3 students who were homeless the entire year? Those are two very different things. So we had to come up with different ways to measure that. One was just how many students in general, how many were identified that year, like as in how many became homeless. Then membership days. So, how many, school days of homelessness did they experience, and then on top of that they wanted to see attendance rate, right? That's always a big one, how we know it impacts attendance for sure. So what is that? And they were able to kind of present at the state. It was at a state level actually. And then of course then the question comes, well, why doesn't this match state reporting? Like, well, because the state has an entirely different definition of how they do that. They look at like a particular point in time. So even with that, it's still a very difficult target to hit on that.
But I was just thinking about it, Jimmy, again, thanks for that great question. The things that we just learned, how a different shape or icon could help you see which ones were in hotels versus doubled up versus staying in a shelter or something like that. So you get me thinking then, Robert, your comment about how many days were they thinking of different ways to show on a calendar. Here are the days that these students or here are the months, like what are the more months, and then what's happening, how can we support them during times when schools are closed, like in the summer, over holidays, that sort of thing. Really,
I think
things that
that's
you can
really
do
good
with the data.
actually.
Yeah.
The times of year. That's something weren't asked to look into, but I like that question. Like, is there certain times of year where homelessness tends to be experienced more,
Yeah.
or even times of the month? People can oftentimes be evicted at the end of a month, right? If they missed rent or something. So
And Brian comments, yeah, definitions are key. Like, what is the type that they're facing? Yeah. Raquel, anything at the state level you're still on? Anything at the department, at the laser group looking at homelessness?
Yes. So one of the filters that we do present, so you can see like how that particular student group is doing in coursework, attendance, and even like behavior if you're at the level. That's one of the filters that you can use in order to, see that specific group data. One of the things with laser is that we at the state do not look at that data. I work with like mostly like terribly fake data to build the dashboards. And we don't look at the data. Like we just are visualizing the data for the districts to look at. But that's one of the filters because that's one of the big asks that we had was that we would be able to provide that like narrowing down to that group of students. So, for example, for attendance, they can focus on those students to support attendance or, if the data shows that they need extra help with coursework and things like that. So
Good. Yeah, yeah. Well, back to Brian. No other questions for you, but I really do want to thank you for showing us those different tips and tricks. As I said, I learned a lot in that. I learned a lot from Shelby. I learned a lot from Raquel. So some great supported presenters here on this one. We are gonna get this with fewer questions. We're gonna go on to our wrap up now. Robert's going to take us through our wrap up here.
all right, try to take us home here. All right, so yeah, again, we would like to also thank Plant Moran, their K12 Tug sponsor, and as you may have seen on our earlier slides, allowing the time for Stephanie to help lead the tug as well. She's a fantastic co-leader, and many years of experience in both Tableau and K12 Ed. She, in fact, when I first met her at my first Tableau conference in 2016. She was a presenter at her former school district. She did work at a school district for many years. And as a newbie at the time, she really helped me appreciate what was possible in Tableau in K-12 education. Plant Moran does offer several services. You can see them on your screen: Tableau professional services, self-paced Tableau learning courses, videos, and they are a firm supporting educational systems with infrastructure, technology, cybersecurity, analytics, governance, and more. So, as mentioned earlier, our next K-12 Tug will be November 26th, 2024. With this one, we decided to try and make one to showcase operations within a school district. Most dashboards we ever see are curricular based. So we thought it'd be a good idea to focus on some of the other operations of the school district. And I say that right after Shelby just presented some really amazing operations dashboards. Those were excellent. But Tyler Portis and Stacy Palmano have been kind enough to volunteer to present some of their work in these non-curricular areas. And also, as David mentioned earlier, this talk will be a bit later in the day. Probably looks like 2 p.m. Eastern time. Just again to help accommodate our friends in Hawaii. We did not feel like their reward for offering to present should be a 5 a.m. wake up call to come in and present. Hopefully we'll have some friends from Alaska and Hawaii be able to tune in and not have to get up so early this time.
And Robert, we're going to switch roles then too, so you'll get to hear more of Robert and less of me this next time around.
Yeah, we'll see. I got some big shoes to fill. We'll see if I can.
I think other more attractive people are going to come now because.
So anyway, yeah. So thank you everyone for coming, and we really appreciate our presenters for taking the time to prepare these, well thought out, insightful presentations. Because for those of you who have not done a presentation like this, yes, it's very rewarding, but to do it right, it's a labor of love, and it takes some time to put together for them, to do it in the right way, and you can tell they did. So we all really do appreciate it.
Yeah, and you guys, you have staying power because we started with 65 or something. We're still at 57, so people are listening and loving your every word. Me too. We want to thank you lots. And again, we will announce the next one. So make sure you're signed up for your Tableau K12 Tableau user group. And we'll see you next time here on the web.
Bye bye. Thank you.